consumer mobile application development. So as the slide says, this is a getting started session. So what we are trying to do today is to get a basic understanding how we can do this consumer mobile application development, so that you know what you should know in order to get into this business, right? Get in this technical area. So hopefully, if you guys liked, probably we might have a series of more lectures in the same domain. And like Chadika said, if you have any questions as I go on, leave them in the chat. We can take them at the end. So, so let's talk about this topic, right? So we are talking about consumer mobile application development. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we'll try to break this topic first. So you know about mobile applications, right? We all use mobile applications from Facebook to Viber, WhatsApp, YouTube, and so on, right? So mobile applications is not anything new to us. And application development also probably not new to you. You might have learned some topics under this area. You have learned some languages, programming languages. So now you know, as software engineers or software developers, we are able to develop software in different areas. So in this topic, we are talking about mobile application development. We are putting those together. And that's the final bit. What is consumer? Well, consumers are just people like us, because we consume things, we use things, like, you know, we are ordinary people who use things in the society. So what are the things that we do? We go
Kalana,
ahead by, yeah,
small interruption, please.
yes.
Chadika, do we, what is the language preference in the session? Is it like English only, or you like us to go with some singular touch?
I think English should be okay, but if
Right.
there is any important thing that you feel you should explain it in singular, would be
Okay.
beneficial, you can do that, Kalana.
Yeah, meantime, if anyone has any concerns, I think we can ask them to write it in the chat box, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, Kalana, sorry, please continue.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that clarification. So yeah, so as consumers, we go ahead and buy things. Sometimes when we want to go to somewhere, we try to get a cab or a taxi or a tuk-tuk, and we study, we take down notes, and we do go about doing our day-to-day, you know, businesses. So for all of these things, what you have noticed is increasingly we use applications, right? Mobile applications. දැන් හැම දෙයක්ම බලුවොත් එහෙම හැමතැනම mobile application එකක් තියෙනවා මොනවා කරන්න උනත්. So that is why we are talking about mobile applications. So these mobile applications are the ones that help these consumers to do certain actions. So yeah, like we know this, but why are we talking about this? We are talking about consumer mobile application is because consumers, or like people like us, use it every day. So if you look at this chart, you can see in every year. So what you see at the bottom is different years. So in every year, this shows how much of time people spend on digital media devices. Digital media devices, it can be a computer, it can be a tablet, it can be any type of device. So you can see over the years, we have been using a lot of desktop and laptop systems, but now we are increasingly using mobile applications, right? So we are increasingly using mobile applications, and it has actually exceeded amount of time that we spent, or amount of usage that we do on desktop applications. එතකොට දැන් desktop applications වලටත් වඩා mobile applications තමයි use වෙන්නේ මේ consumer market එකේ, like not in the industry. Like if you are going to do a job, it might not be the case within the job, but if you look at the consumers, people who doing everyday things, we see mobile applications are used a lot. These statistics come from USA, but it's so much alike worldwide as well. So because people are using this much of applications, the amount of money, that involved with these mobile applications, the amount of money the companies or people earn through mobile applications is also increasing. So you can see over the years from 2014 to 2020, you can see it has, more than double, triple, it has increased. So now it's closer to $600 billion. So, and you can see the projection is increasing. So people are using more apps. Because of that, a lot of money is there in the industry, in the mobile application industry. If you want to dig deeper into, just don't take my word for this. You should always do your own research. So you can go ahead and try and even find more interesting facts. What are the different countries and how much is the growth? So worldwide, you can see the growth is more than 110% in within 3 years. And especially in like growing markets like Asia, China, this rate is so high, right? So still, why are we talking about this? We are talking about this. This is the biggest point. Important message. We are talking about this because we want to see if there's an opportunity in here. So we discussed there's a lot of applications out there. People are increasing using this, and there's so much money in it. So because of that, we do have opportunity. So as ICT students, these are the opportunities. I'd like to break this into 3 areas. One, if you like to become a mobile developer, um, there's so much vacancies and opportunities in the industry for you to join a company and become a mobile developer. So in order to do that, you will have to learn how to do how to create applications. So you will have to learn the languages and so on, and you will have to gain some qualifications, such as some of the qualifications that you are doing right now, so that you can prove that you are able to do, you are qualified to do this. So because so many applications are in demand, companies want to make it. Because of that, you have the opportunity to become a mobile developer and join a company. If you don't like to join a company, there's another way to go about. You can be a freelance developer. So what freelance developers do is they work from home. So they work from home, and in most cases, they work for overseas clients, and they earn in US dollars, like in foreign currency. So we'll discuss a bit more onto each of these. And the third one I want to suggest is the opportunity for you to become an app creator. So app creators are the people who create an application and publish it by themselves. So you create the application and you put it in the App Store or Google Play Store by yourself, and you try to make money out of it. So these are the 3 opportunities that is hugely out there because of the increased growth of consumer applications. So let me move on. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to dig a bit deeper. තවටයක් පැහැදිලිව discuss කරන්න මේ into this mobile application developer and freelance and app creator. So mobile application developer, like I said, you need to gain some skills. And if you go to a job site like Top Jobs, this is just one example. Like you might already know there are number of job opportunity, job posting sites online where you can easily find job vacancies available in different companies. And of course, there are advertisements in other media as well. But I'd like you to go ahead and do a search and see what are the available opportunities. Of course, actually these days, because of the COVID situation, the number of vacancies that you will see is a bit low. not a bit low, actually it's quite low compared to a normal day, but still you will be able to see some vacancies. So why do we want to go and see these vacancies? Because we are not ready to join yet, right? But no, I think you should go and look at the vacancies, because then you will be able to figure out what kind of things the companies expect from you, what kind of skills that you need to learn. So then you can create a target and a plan. Okay, I'm going to learn these vacancies, these skills, so that I can apply for one of these vacancies. So if we have time at the end, we'll even try to browse. We'll try to browse some of these vacancies at the end of the session. So that's one opportunity that you can get, basically get a job as a mobile developer in a software company. And when it comes to software companies, unlike previous years, now we have a lot of companies locally, from quite big companies to small but exciting startups, where they do try out new things and they work in a very dynamic manner. So there are a lot of opportunities, and you can start with, you can try to join a company with the skills that you can earn in like at in your courses, and gradually improve yourself. Even you might not join the company of your choice at first, but then again you can join a company that you can reach and get more skills and get more experience, and you can build a career, build a job path. So that's one option. So I'm going to talk about the second option, which is freelance developer. So freelance developer, you might have heard about some of these platforms. Take platforms, Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, people per I have a spelling mistake. මේ ඊ එකක් නෑ අන්තිමට. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට Google කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන් මේ platform. සමහර විට you guys are already working on some of these platforms. So these platforms basically, like this Upwork, what you do is, so you sign up to this platform as a developer or a freelancer with your skills, and then people who want to get a mobile application created, they'll put a posting, or they'll put a project, they'll list project in these platforms. Then you can send your offer, how much you charge to do that, and you can continue working like that, and you get paid, right? So that's the process of freelancing. You can even do some freelancing locally through contacts and so on, and there's one, or at least one site for local freelance as well, which I haven't listed. So like you might start with few set of skills, but as you go on, when you build reputation on the platform like this one, you're able to demand a good price for your services. So and the advantage of this working internationally is that you get paid in foreign currency, and you're able to fully manage your finances and so on, right? So this working as a freelancer, working remotely, it's not only a freelancer. There are companies that would recruit you as an employee from a remote country to work. So I would also categorize into a similar category, but you can be any of those, right? So becoming a freelancer and providing services like creating mobile application development, creating consumer applications is also highly trending, because we want a lot of applications created. So people put a lot of projects. Then if you want to be one, then there's opportunity for you. And the third one I want to talk about is being an app creator. So app creator is basically, companies are developing their own apps and putting it on the app store, like the Facebook application that you download from your Google Play or App Store is created by Facebook. Same way, you can, as an individual, or even if you form a company with few of your friends, you can become an app creator. You can create a seller account on the App Store or Google Play and become app creator. So that way, if you create a good application and put it up there, and if people are willing to pay for it in upfront, then they will buy it, and then of course you get the money. Or else there are different models එකක විදි තියෙනවා to get money in Google Play or App Store. මේ එක එක විදි කියන්නේ සමහර ඒවා තමයි you can, like I said before, you can create a paid app, and you can create something called freemium apps. So freemium apps is basically you will give the basic app for free. User can download the app without paying anything, but you will have some features where you will charge. So that is one good tactic lot of app creators use basically. So they will give you the basic app for free, but people who wants to pay and use the better features, they pay and buy those features. So, and also you might be familiar with advertisements. So you can place advertisements inside the applications and make money through that too. And then you can have subscription based apps, especially if you are creating content like magazines and stuff. So there are different ways that you can earn becoming a app creator. So these are the few areas or the three opportunities that I can talk about in three different categories. So hope you are clear about different opportunities that is available, but then again, how to grab these opportunities. So to do that, you want to learn how to make apps, right? So when you are looking into how to make apps, we will look at it in three different uh, angles. So basically, I will divide this into three different areas based on the platform. So first one, you can build Android applications that will run natively. So basically, it's an Android application that will run on your Android phone. And you have iOS applications that will run on all the Apple devices like iPad and iPhone. And when you're making apps, you can also create hybrid apps where these applications will run on both, supported platforms like Android and iOS, but you will not use the native way or the what's provided by the operating system, but you will use some other technologies to create these hybrid apps. So don't worry, in the next slide we are going to talk in detail how we do these things. So first, the native apps. If you want to become a mobile application developer who do Android native apps, you have to learn coding. So what are the languages? What are the popular languages to do Android native apps? You can either learn Java, or you can learn this language called Kotlin, which is a bit newer, but Google is the kind of the owner of the Android ecosystem, or they are the biggest promoter. So they promote this new language Kotlin also. So you can either code native Android apps using these languages. So you have to learn these languages. And to write code and to make the applications, you will be most using an application called Android Studio, which you can download free of charge. There's no fee for this, so you can download this and learn how to use this IDE or the software development environment, and you can use these languages to build. So when you are trying on this application, when you're building this application, you can run it on your computer in an emulator, or else you can use your Android phone if you have one to run the application and test it. And finally, you will publish this application to Google Play, right? So you'll have to learn about how to publish this into Google Play. You'll be using something called Google Play Console. So through that, you'll upload the application that you have created so that users can download it and use it. And if it is a paid application, of course, they'll pay and download it. So these are the basic, this today's session is about basics. It's about getting started. So if you want to get started with Android native apps, these are the things that you should cover as basics. So next we'll look at if you want to build applications for Apple platform. So that's iOS platform, what you need to do. So you need to learn about coding in Swift language. So a few years back, we used to use a language called Objective-C, but nowadays you don't need to learn Objective-C. The current language for iOS is Swift. So you need to learn this language if you want to build Apple applications. And you will be using this software called Xcode. This is your development code editor basically, and it has everything that you need built into it. So you'll be able to write your code, test it, and all that, right? And when you are done with your code, or when you want to try publishing it, Apple has this online portal called App Store Connect. So earlier they used to call this iTunes Connect. So through this, you will be uploading your application and making it available for users. So this is how you do Apple native development, but there's a small problem with this. For most of us, if you don't have a Apple computer, a Mac computer, you will not be able to actually build the application, create the final build to upload this. So if you're doing native applications, because this tool stack only works for Mac OS, so to run Mac OS legally, you need to have a Apple computer. So it's a bit of a bottleneck for some of us. So that is something that you need to know, right? So then we are going to talk about hybrid applications. So hybrid applications, basically we call them hybrid because you will be writing the application using languages other than what is given by Android or Apple. So in Android, we said we're going to use Java or Kotlin. In Apple, we said we're going to write Swift. But the language that we're going to use is different. And it's trying to create, if you use a hybrid app, so what we are trying to do is we are going to use some other languages, other frameworks, and then create applications that run inside Apple devices and Android devices. So they will not run natively. So that means they will not run very close to the operating system. So I will not dig into detail. Probably you can do your own research. So but they will still run, and they will do an okay job. So back in the day, hybrid applications were not so smooth. The performance was not great. But nowadays, most of these platforms are matured. So they have become better. So that even the hybrid applications, most of the applications looks okay, and you are okay. Like it's not bad to use them, even if they are not written with these native languages. So talking about hybrid applications, to create hybrid applications, you will have to learn some of these languages, like at least one of these languages. There can be there are many hybrid platforms. So I have only listed some of the popular ones here. So if you already know Java, maybe like JavaScript, maybe you are a web developer, then you already know JavaScript, then probably you can easily create mobile applications using this hybrid frameworks. So you don't have to, there's less that you have to learn into creating mobile applications. You don't have to learn any of these. You can just use your JavaScript knowledge and use a framework such as React Native, Ionic to create hybrid applications. Google also introduced another hybrid application framework called Flutter. So to write Flutter applications, the language that is used in Dart, it's fairly new language. So a lot of people are new to it. There's not a huge community there yet, but it is growing. It's a very fast language. So you can learn that, or else if you are familiar with C#, you can use the framework called Xamarin by Microsoft, backed by Microsoft to build hybrid applications. So like I said, it is very easy for web developers because the most of the concepts, how you do layouts, and the languages that you use are the ones that you're already familiar with. But still, when the application is run, now the newer frameworks, they are very much closer to native. So because of that, they look and feel like native applications. And if you are creating hybrid applications, when it comes to deployment, when it comes to pushing it through App Store or Google Play, you need to have some basic knowledge about these native platforms, because you have to make the applications and upload to the correct App Store and so on, right? So these are the basic things that you need to learn if you want to become a mobile application developer in any of these platforms. So you don't have to learn all of this. There are mobile application developers who specialize in Android. There are people who specialize in iOS, and there are people who specialize in one or many of these hybrid application platforms. So don't worry, you don't have to learn all of this, but if you learn one of these sets, you will be able to start as a mobile application developer. So hope you guys are okay with me so far. So then what we will do, look at is, so we know that we have to learn this, right? But how to learn, how I can start learning mobile application development. So it's an interesting thing to figure out. So I would do what most of us would go ahead. I would go to Google and type that I want to learn, this particular mobile application development. So I would usually go ahead and start with this sort of a search query. I would say getting started with, and I'll replace this with whatever I want to learn. So for example, getting started with Flutter, or else getting started with React Native. So when I search this and when I get some search result, probably the first page that I will go into will be their own official website that will look like this. So even if you do React Native, Flutter, or whatever the framework that you like to learn, you will go to a developer website that looks like this, which will explain the language, how it's been built, and so on, and how to set up the environment, how to set up your computer so that you can start developing software, you can start developing mobile applications. So these things will be explained to you. So rather than showing this in a slide, I will, because we are all developers, right? So I will try to, if my network connection allows, I'll try to show you this in the browser. So what I will do is, I would, yeah, of course, just to stick to slides, you will start it in Google. So I'll type something like getting started with React Native. So yeah, I get some results. So I'll go ahead and see what I have got. So I'll be navigated into a page like this, and which will usually tell what are the things that I need to know, right? For example, see this prerequisite says to work with React Native, you need to understand JavaScript. So this is what we discussed in the previous slide. So likewise, it will give us few examples to try out. So just to show you how easy to get started, I will actually show you this example. So to do React Native applications, there are different ways. One shortcut that you can take is using this tool called Expo, right? So in Expo, what happens is basically it will give you an environment that you can try out building applications right away, right? If you can see my screen, if you can see my browser. So I will go into this try snack. So this will give me an environment where I can try out code right away inside this web-based IDE. Even to set this up locally, it would take only like 10 minutes of your time. You can set up in a computer. So you can go ahead and start building your application. So this is basically a preview of your application. So we can say something like hello ICT, and you can see it's immediately reflected on your preview. Then what if you want to try this out in your mobile phone? Is it too difficult? Actually, no. What you can do is I will actually try to show you. We are going to do this in the developer way, so you will have to bear with me as I show you this. But I don't think it'll take some time. No, I don't want to show you my face. I want to show you my screen sharing of my phone. So this is basically I'm sharing the screen of my phone. So what you can do is you can actually go to App Store. If you're having a Google phone, you can go to Google Play and download this application called Expo. Right? So it's called Expo Client, and it looks like this. And now I have already downloaded it, but you can download it. So when you download it, you will get an application. You will get an application that looks like this, right? So then what you have to do is when you open the application, you will see a device ID like this at the end. Like at the bottom, you see this the device ID here. So in your Expo project, in your IDE, what you have to do is you can just go and type that ID in this run on your device. So the device ID that was shown to me earlier was so I'm typing that number that was shown to me earlier. That was maybe not probably, yeah, and I just type this. And once you save that, and if I share my device with you again, what you will see is in your Expo application, this the project that you open here will automatically appear in here. So then if you go in there, what happens is it will load the application into your phone. So you can see the code that we have typed here, it's already on your mobile phone, right? So it's basically, if you see my video, it's just here. So like within few minutes, right? It's just within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you're already developing your application on your phone, right? If you do any edits here, it's basically will be reflected. So it's not that difficult to add a button or something into this. Yeah, that says I have an error because I haven't added this button into this. So likewise, so now I have added this login button into this. So likewise, you can start developing your application, whatever the application that you like, and try it out very easily. And you can see the preview very easily on your phone. And of course, there are things that you have to learn how to create this into application and post this and so on. But I just want to show you how easy to get started, right? So I don't see, if you like to become a mobile application developer, it's super easy for you to get started. So so first way to get started is you just Google and find the official documentation and start, just following the steps. And these steps are very easy. The language that they have used is very easy. So you will be up and running in really soon. So there are more ways to learn. There are plenty of online courses. I'll show you some of the popular sites. There's this udemy.com, Coursera, edX.org, and some specific sites for specific technologies like flutter.dev and udacity.com, and of course YouTube, right? හැමතිස්සම YouTube යනවානේ. YouTube එකත් ඇති වෙන්න තියෙනවා different courses for you to learn different mobile platforms. So if I take an example from Udemy, you can just go and search for so in this case I have searched for Android development, and there are like plenty of courses that you can follow for Android development. And the price of some of these courses are of course free, right? Some in my previous slide, some of these sites, they offer free courses, and on YouTube of course it's free, and this edX offers a good React Native course for free, and so on. Like so many, even on Coursera there are a few courses in different languages. So some of these are free and some of these are not that pricey, like so this is $11, but if you learn this, you will become a mobile developer. So it's $11 is not a too bad price to pay to actually become a complete Android developer. So there are multiple ways to learn. So these are some of the pointers how you can learn. My goal is my suggestion is that you can set goals, what you need to do. You look at the skills that you need to take from job vacancies as well as your Fiverr posting or whatever. Then pick a course and start practicing, create small applications. Then that's how you start learning. And when you go to an interview for a company, or if you want to become a freelancer, you have to show that you know how to do mobile application developments, right? So the best thing is if you create some application, if you are trying out some application, you are learning something, and you make that application, you try to post it to Google Play, right? It's then you will have some stuff to show when you go for an interview, or when you apply for freelancing opportunity and so on. So you need to have some stuff to show. You need to have some credentials, or like proof that you are able to do this. So to do that, I suggest you create post some applications onto the public app stores, as well as maintain a good GitHub repository or a good GitHub profile with the application that you have created. Like some of it can be open source, so you can show, or even if it is not open source, when you go to enter, you can show, so that you have some proof. So the advice is just start doing or creating applications. All right, so now we are coming to the final bits of this today's session. So there's a question. The question is, so is it all about learning mobile application development? If we learn how to create mobile apps, is it good enough? Yes, in most cases it's okay, but sometimes you need to know a little bit about implementing a backend server. So this is because sometimes you will be hired as only person to create a mobile project, or else you will be working in a small team who will do a mobile project. A new mobile application that you're developing might need to have a backend server. So why we need a backend server? We need a backend server because some of the data that we use in the application, well, if it is a simple application that like a notes application or else a to-do application, all the data can stay inside your mobile phone, right? But if it is application that needs to download any content or else to save your data on the internet, then you need to know how to create a backend server and to save that information in a database. And if you are creating application where multiple users can share some data, then again you might need to have a backend server to do this. So in most of the, if you're trying to join a company or join the local industry, most of the cases there are positions only for a mobile application developer, but so you don't have to worry about this so much, but knowing a little bit will not harm you, right? Well, to have a backend server, maybe sometimes you don't have to even program, you don't have to develop the backend server. There are platforms that you can use. So there are platforms like Firebase. So I'm just telling you some names so that you can do your own research. So platforms like Firebase will let you create a backend server for your mobile application very easily. So your mobile application will have a server to save its data in a very short time. And then, or else you can create a backend server. And the new way of creating backend servers is using serverless. So that means it's a technology I will not try to explain a lot, but using serverless, you can only write the code that will help you to support your mobile application. There will not be extra things to deploy and so on. So this is one way, easy way to go about, but it's complex than using Firebase. So if you want to learn some backend, you can learn backend such as AWS. Or else if you are coming from like a website development background, you might already know how to create PHP, a web host and a small, uh, REST API endpoint, or like, the web service endpoints to get your data to web services, your website. You can use the same to create a very simple host for your mobile application development. So learning these things will also complement, like, it's a good thing to have as a mobile developer. Sorry. Mm. So we discussed we need to learn mobile application development. We need to learn how to code mobile applications, and we need to code so backend sometimes. But is it only about code? Well, when it comes to creating mobile application development, we also need to know a bit about user experience. So what is user experience? So do you remember sometime when we download the application is so bad, like, after using it one time, we just uninstall it. And or else it's some application that we need to use all the time because our friends are there or something like that. But application is very slow. Every time we use it, it's, we hate it. So that means that's bad experience. And if there are applications that we always want to use it because we like it, that's good user experience. So especially in mobile application development, well, user experience is useful in all kind of software. Well, mobile application development, especially if you are developing consumer applications, user experience is very important because users have other options. Sorry. Users have other options they can quickly try out. So that's one thing that you can take a look. Excuse me. Let me quickly get some water. 30 seconds. Yeah, sorry about that. So hope you can hear me again. So we are talking about user experience. So because we are working with consumer applications, consumers are able to, they have a lot of choice when it comes to applications. So they are able to quickly select an application, and if they don't like, they can quickly, get rid of the application. They don't want to stick to your application. So because of that, user experience is very important. So how you create good user experiences basically by creating applications that are error free, that are very neat, polished and tested. And if the users, when they open the application, if they're able to understand what are the buttons are for and what are the things that they can do, if it is easy to understand, then they can easily use that application. That means it has very good user experience. And there are things like user-centered design, which you can learn a bit more if you like to explore into this area. This user experience is an entirely different topic. I will not go there, but it is something that you have to keep in mind. And then you should check if your users actually like it. You can do this by using analytics tools, whether users, how much of time they spend in your application and so on. So then you can improve it further. So is it only about coding and user experience? Well, no, there are few more things sorry, to create good user experience mobile applications. So there are things like good engineering practices, then language skills and so on. So I think there might be some sessions further into these areas that you can learn further into how to create really good applications. So things like marketing skills, if you are creating your own mobile application to sell as a creator, then skills like marketing will also be quite important, so that you can promote your application and you can be financially successful. So we have come to end of today's session. Um, so this today's session is a introductory session. It's about getting started. So based on your feedback, I think ICT Council will be able to arrange more sessions into in-depth into different subtopics. So as the summary, we will look at what we have discussed so far. So we started by looking at what are the consumer mobile applications. We learned that a lot of people use mobile applications for day-to-day work, day-to-day life. So those are the consumer mobile applications. And we learned that the number of consumer applications is increasing. That is because people like using them and people spend money on them. So it's a growing industry, it's a growing market. And because of that, we discussed that there might be an opportunity for us as people in the ICT industry. So those opportunities I have divided into becoming a mobile developer who would work for a company, or else becoming a freelancer who will work remotely on a freelancing platform and so on, or else who will um, create his own apps, put them on the App Store or Google Play, and earn money through that, being an app creator. So those are the opportunities that we
Did we lose?
Hi, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. A bit of a power cut, so I had to switch between to a different network connection. Let me share my screen again.
We also have,
So we
yeah.
will,
Yeah, continue, Kalana. We also have like a few questions in the chat box, and
yeah.
we have like 5
So
minutes
we,
left.
yeah, I will finish this one. So yeah, so we discussed how to make applications, because if you want to become any of these developers, you need to know how to make apps. And then we looked at how to learn. So you can start by going to the official documentation, or else follow a course online. And of course, to create a successful application, you need to make a good user experience with your application. So with that, we are at the end of our session. So we can take up the questions that we have. Let me see what are the questions that we have. I think I might lost the chat history because I reconnected.
All right. Yes. So I think the first question is from Terence Wijesekara, 4:35. If somebody has posted some question before that, please send a chat message. So Terence asks, Kalana, do you recommend for freshers to learn hybrid applications before learning native applications development? That's the question.
Yes, it's an interesting question. Actually, I won't say it's there is a particular order that you need to learn, especially because if you're coming from a web development background, if you want to learn mobile application development, as developers, we want to see results very soon, and we want to try things out very soon. So if you want to learn hybrid application development at one go and try it out, it's okay. So you don't have to become a master, or else even you don't have to become intermediate level in native application first and then move into hybrid. That there's no requirement as such. Having said that, if you are to become a good developer in mobile application development, of course you need to have the basic or at least some knowledge into the native sides of it, because there will be some areas of or other some features of your application that you have to use some native features. So in most hybrid frameworks, these are already exposed to you. You can still use them, but in some cases, you might need to do a bit of development on the native side as well. So in those cases, it's good to have that knowledge into native application development. So at some point in your career as a mobile developer, you'll have to, get into intermediate level in native as well. But if you are starting, if you prefer to start with hybrid, it's okay. Just learn a bit about native and learn about hybrid. I feel like that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. This question is from Pumal, but that is something that either myself or Chandika can answer. Are you hoping to do language-specific webinars in the future, especially Android? So I suppose Pumal is interested in learning mobile application development in Android. Yes, we will plan. And also, Pumal, as Kalana mentioned today, you can go into these learning platforms, Udemy, Coursera, and start learning by yourself. And also the React Native tool, which Kalana demonstrated today, that also supports Angular, Android development. So yeah, so then I will pick the next one. So Jenna, that's the name. I suppose it's a nickname. He asks, I learned and have good experience in C# Windows Forms application development. I use Visual Studio. Can I use it for hybrid application development? Kalana.
Yes. So if you're coming from C#, .NET sort of background, you can use Xamarin to develop mobile applications. That's totally possible. But if you are planning to become a full-time mobile developer, I would suggest comparing the platforms and the frameworks and learning some of the other frameworks also, because like any other framework in the IT industry, we have to stay up to date with trending ones. So, and we have to look at how popular different frameworks are and how popular, what is the market or what is the job availability for different industries and so on. So Xamarin is good. It's still out there and people use it, but the rate of growth is not that high. So it is something that you need to watch out in the coming years. Where if that declines, then you might have to learn a different language and a framework to stay as a mobile developer.
Okay. Terence has another question. Most of mobile developers haven't enough knowledge about its backend and they don't like to learn it. What would you suggest to avoid this? So I suppose the question is how to avoid not learning the backend. Is it the question?
Yeah. It's a bit of a double negative question, I think. If you, I think, if you don't want to learn backend so much, that's one side of the question.
Yes.
So then, like I said, you are able to use some of the readily available services like Firebase. So Firebase is one of just the example. There are even much more like if the application that you're trying to build is simple, there are even simpler backend services that you can use. But the downside is the functionality is limited. So the amount of data that you can save, and based on the data that you save, if you have to do something else, so that kind of things, it's difficult if you don't have your own good backend implementation. But you can use platform as service. Or else, if you are a mobile developer, it's difficult to learn backend, but you have somehow want to learn. I suggest you pick a backend that is familiar to you, as in terms of at least language. For example, if you know how to write in JavaScript, then maybe look at a backend such as Node. So Node JS code can be executed on different backend servers and serverless backends like AWS. Then you can try that out, so that the amount of things that you have to newly learn is less. So at least those are the answers that I can think of.
Yeah. And as the last question, we have one from Tharanga. He says, I'm a student from engineering field. I decided to develop a mobile application for construction industry with my ICT friend. Can you give me some advice? I have some idea about coding C++ and C. So he said, I think the question is Taranga has some experience with C++ and C. So he wants to use that knowledge to start developing mobile apps.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at the native mobile applications, both iOS and Android, underlying frameworks. So what is at the bottom of your software, like the tools, is written with C and C++. Right? It's a very performant language, so you can use that. But the problem is most of the modern mobile application development frameworks, especially the UI frameworks, are built using the languages and the frameworks that is recommended in those frameworks. Say for Android, the easiest way to create good UIs and create different screens is using the UI components that's available to Android platform. So of course you are able to use the languages that you know to create mobile applications, but if you want to develop it as a like a long-term solution as well as a commercial solution, it might also be okay if you learn a new language or a platform and do it. But having said that, if you are creating an application that is that requires high performance, that needs to work very fast, then you are able to use C and C++ to build that application. If you already have the knowledge, it'll be bit, the courses that you had to follow and so on, it'll be different, but you are able to do that. But if your application is not like if it doesn't require high performance, very smooth operation, like I'm not talking about day-to-day use cases, I'm talking about like complex graphics and all that, then using a low-level language might make you use more time as you go.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is, so we'll accommodate the questions for say like another 5 minutes. Chadika, is it okay? Yeah. So Rajita Kulatung asks, what are your comments about do-it-yourself app development platform service? I think aggregators is asking. Kalana?
Yeah, I hope you are talking about do-it-yourself app development platforms such as like the pre-built applications where you customize the applications. If that is the case, if you are developing a do-it-yourself application like a framework, if you are the provider who's going to give that, there is still a market for it. People are still using it. But if you want to create mobile applications and if you are trying to use a do-it-yourself platform as a user, you have to be careful because the popularity of such platforms is going less. So if you are spending money on it or if you are spending time in it, the application that you would create using one of those platforms might not, I mean, it's good, it's really easy to create. So if you want to create like a minimum viable product or like a small product just to try out your market or something like that, it's a good approach. But such frameworks has limitations in terms of if you want to add more features, rich features, if you want to customize, then those platforms have limitations. So at some point you might have to, it might be a bottleneck for you. But if you are doing a business like a startup or something, if you want to try things out with minimal time and effort, you can use a platform like that.
Yes. So Bidasun asks, can you explain what is the minimum qualification to join mobile developer company and what I need to earn minimum qualified thing? Otherwise, can get internship from mobile developer company if I require. So I think he's asking for minimum requirement to find a job or an internship as a mobile developer. Is there anything like that, Kalan?
There's no minimum development defined as such, so it will differ like different from one company to other.
Company, right? Yes.
Company to company.
Yeah.
But I think in some companies you can start with like if you have some sort of like a diploma level qualification, and if you can prove at the interview that you can really do good coding, and if you have done projects, then if you can prove yourself, then you might be able to get the opportunity. So usually for IT industry, a diploma might be the minimum qualification.
So either to find a internship or a job, I think learning these things and getting something delivered and trained would be the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So Piumal asks, how is the job market for Flutter developers in Sri Lanka? You know anything about it, Kalana?
I personally don't have so much of idea about this, but what I know is from what I hear from the industry and what I've seen around. So some companies are already using Flutter, but as industry, still it's a bit too new, right? So the problem with Flutter is if you decide to go ahead with Flutter, you want your developers to know that language, and they should be, there should be a good ecosystem around it. So still, since it's not that popular, there's still a bit of setback in the industry. So we have to see how the trend goes, and I think it'll come there.
Yeah, okay. So Altaf Hussein says that he's expecting more sessions in the future. Yeah, he thanks for the guidance provided. Hansika Herath says, I'm a university student. I like to make apps on my own and online work and be a web developer. I already done HTML, CSS, JS languages as front end and PHP SQL for back end. So want some advice to go my target. So he's not specifically talking about mobile application development. Yeah, but I suppose since it's a mobile session, he wants to learn about mobile. Is there anything you can give as an advice, Kalana?
Yeah, I think he's, I mean, he has learned so many things, which is already on the correct path.
Yeah.
So if you want to try out something very easily and see if you like it, you can use your JavaScript knowledge. You can try out either a React Native or Ionic application, because both of them use JavaScript as the front-end coding in the mobile. And you can use your PHP knowledge to create a small backend if you want to, and try out a mobile application.
Okay, that's good. And that's all the questions we have. Chadika, over to you.
Yes, I take this opportunity to thank Kalana on behalf of the ICT Industry Skills Council for conducting a very interactive and informative, productive session today. Thank you very much for taking out time for your busy schedule. And also, I would like to thank Sachit for organizing this session and connecting Kalana with us. And if there is no questions, can we wind the session off?
Yeah, I think we answered all the questions that were posted.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then thank you very much all the participants. We had 55 odd participants attending the session today. Thank you very much. We will see you again in a similar session.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to do the session. Yeah, hope to see you again in some other time.
Thank you so much.